Derek, is my microphone in the right location? You typically get very upset with me about these things.
It's a little high. It's a little high.
Now, usually,
just like me at all times when I was 19.
If I have it there, then you're like, no, you got to raise your mic so we can hear you. You get on me all the time.
No, you're good. You're a professional broadcaster, at least in title, and so I think you should know where your microphone should go.
I'm entitled. Is that what you said? I'm entitled?
Well, both of those things. Entitled and entitled.
Hi there, how are you? My name is Jake Query, the entitled one. That is Derek Schultz. This is the incredibly, creatively, and appropriately named, charitably award-winning Query and Schultz program here on the ISC Sports Network. Derek, in terms of the charitable award, that was when we've only won one award, right?
Well, we've won a couple of Fans' Choice Awards.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
We won once.
We were the iHeartMedia 2019 Radio Personalities of the Year.
Live radio personalities. And
Market Personalities of the Year. And then
we were the only live.
In the first week of 2020, we were fired.
Right. We were the only live radio program that they had.
No,
and
we
then
still
they gave us an
won.
award, and the award they gave us were gift cards.
Yeah.
To
a diamond shop.
A diamond shop.
That expired in 10 hours.
Literally.
I took my Honda Civic land speed record up to Castleton, and I spent every single one of those.
Did you really?
I got Ashley earrings, yeah. And I went in there, and I stacked them, and I said, I got 10 gift cards here. They expire in 30 minutes. I want those.
But they gave us these gift cards that amassed to a decent amount of money, but literally was 40% the cost of the least expensive thing they sold.
Yeah, it was tough to find something, but little diamond earrings, are cheaper than obviously a diamond ring or a big diamond necklace or something like that.
You must have gotten the last pair because when I went in there, they're like, ooh, the least expensive thing we have is $12,000.
Well, yeah, the weirdest thing is buying something. I think the earrings were $1,200, and I literally handed the guy 15 $100 gift cards, right? Because it was and he looked at me like, you don't belong here. What are you doing? You know what I mean? They were insulted that I had a whole stack of gift cards. But again, they expired in 27 minutes. I need to make this transaction right now for it not to go void.
There's plenty to talk about today, even though this is the time of year where typically things slow down. But man, I'll tell you what, thank the Lord in this market that we have not only the Pacers that went to the conference finals and have some questions that we talked about through free agency, and then a quarterback that all of a sudden gets a sore shoulder again, but the WNBA and the biggest star in that sport that is absolutely the straw that is mixing the drink of conversation amongst women's basketball.
It's the lead headline right now on ESPN.com. Christy Sides questions. We're taping this right now on Tuesday. Christy Sides questions team's effort. It's the lead headline. And that was after, 48 hours of Caitlin Clark not being on Team USA being the lead headline?
This is not a flattering.
Wild.
That's not a flattering photo.
Oh, yeah, not great. Not great.
That's somebody who...
That probably reflects her job security right now, I'd say.
That looks like me most days when I'd walk in and you got to the studio before me.
Let me say this, and I don't think, and we can have a conversation about more in depth about this, but I don't think the Fever's issues are all Christy Sides. It's not a great roster. They whiffed on a lot of top-end picks.
They did.
And even the ones that they did get, Melissa Smith's fine. She's okay. She's a pretty good player. She's not some franchise-level, all-WNBA, I don't think, level player. But even if Christy Sides is right, and I think the play that sticks out was, I think it was right before halftime, Connecticut gets a steal.
No, wait a minute. No, to recap, though, when you say even if she's right, you're talking about...
Even if she's right about the effort.
So after on Monday, the Fever got blown out of the building by Connecticut, and they rested their starters for... Not rested. She
benched them. Yeah.
She benched the starters for most of the second half. They were down 20, 25, somewhere in there. So, and then afterwards, she questioned their effort.
Yeah. So that's the context of it. You're right. We should kind of give the context of it. And there was a play where Connecticut got a steal, and 4 of the 5 players that were on the floor just kind of stood there. And they ran on a breakaway. And, even when it's a breakaway, you should run and give some effort. And the Fever players didn't do that. So even if Christy Sides is right about all of that, once, generally speaking, you and I have been around sports and covered it for a good amount of time. Generally speaking, the big warning sign, hey, there's a fire in the kitchen and it's spreading, is when a coach starts really digging in on the players.
Right.
Generally speaking, that means that they're not long for that job, and maybe that's for the best. Maybe it is for the best to have somebody fresh to come in with this group and do it. But I think it's fair to say that I didn't expect the Fever to be a good team or a playoff team, certainly, but I didn't expect them to get run off the floor every night. And essentially that's what's happening. And you can blame the schedule and you can say, well, Connecticut's good. Connecticut is good. New York's good. This league is good.
It is.
It's a really good league.
Right. It's not a spread out league, right?
But still, they're just not competitive. I think it's the 6th time they've lost by 15 or more points. And to call Monday night's game a 17-point game is doing it a favor, because that was a 30 or 28-point game at one point.
Now, my question when it comes to, Caitlin Clark and just the Fever in general, I thought about this last night, Derek. There was so much anticipation, so much hub around the Fever and Clark's rookie year and all of that. What is the expiration date for the excitement and the enthusiasm and, quite frankly, the interest if it doesn't start to take off? And does that impact, for example, Christy Side's tenure? Does the organization have to look at, okay, what is the shelf life here before we have to make a seismic change to keep people invested?
Yeah, I really don't think that there is a ticking clock. For this thing to subside, I think Caitlin Clark would have to have 2 bad seasons and have her first 2 years as a pro be poor for this thing to but Jake, it's been built up now so much. Even then, the WNBA is never going to go back to being what it was last year. It's not. It's here. This thing is not, and I've kind of said this all along. Not that you're implying this. This isn't Jeremy Lin. Okay, this isn't like
it's not Jimmer Fredette.
Yeah, this isn't just some like fly-by-night thing that happens and then it's gone and then everybody, Michael Phelps was like that. I don't want to make anybody upset, but the Olympics and Michael Phelps' relevance nationally lasted about as long as they were in Beijing, and maybe for like the 2 weeks after that. Like, this is not one of those things. This is a big deal. This is not only a big deal for the WNBA, this is a big deal for women's sports in general. So even if Caitlin Clark is a flop, even if she's, Michelle Wee, or Freddie Adu, or you think of some of these others that have kind of come in a sport that we don't normally pay a ton of attention to here in the States, or like MLS or women's golf. And now the WNBA, I think it's here to stay. I think this effect stays regardless. But yes, you're right. I mean, the Fever have to be thinking about, hey, we look pretty stupid getting blown off the floor every night with all these people watching. So I think that's where your mindset is. You don't want it to get too far gone where suddenly, Clark's down in the dumps, Boston's down in the dumps, the players hate the coach, the fans are hate watching the product on the floor. You don't want it to fester like that.
The other big storyline, and Derek, I agree that there appears to be a chemistry problem, whether it's a chemistry within the roster or a chemistry between player and coach, players and coach. It just looks vagabond at this point, right? The other big storyline is Caitlin Clark being omitted from the Olympic roster. And that was, I guess, the one good news about the Fever getting blown off the floor against Connecticut is that it shifted the narrative away from Caitlin Clark's not on the Olympic team.
Yeah.
And Caitlin Clark not being on the Olympic team, to me, it does 2 things. It gives reprieve that I think is a good thing that people are overlooking. And secondly, it exposes the hypocrisy of the ideology of Indiana basketball fans. But I'll let you go first on your response.
That's a juicy one. I'm looking forward. Sometimes every once in a while I think to myself, I'm very interested in how Jake's brain works. Sometimes I get mad about it. But this is one where sometimes you say something out loud or you think something and I think, who on earth would actually think that way? But we'll let you hear it. I don't have a problem with Caitlin Clark getting left off the team. I think their problem is the rationale behind it. They needed to come out and firmly say, look, this is the most competitive league in the world, which it is. That's not me like grandstanding for women's sports. It is, just because of the amount of teams. We have 12 really unbelievable players. We have basically 11 unbelievable players and a 12th who might be the greatest to ever play the sport in Diana Taurasi, because that's the one really that we're talking about getting left off, right? And we didn't feel like that she should crack that list on merit. And everybody, I think most people would have been like, fine, right? Wouldn't you have been that way?
Or if they simply said, we have no doubt that Caitlin Clark is going to be a phenomenal player
Olympian.
And a future Olympian.
Yeah, sure.
But, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
What happened is that USA Today had the report that said, well, she has so many fans, and we're just a little bit worried about the tension that could create. That can't be your reason. The drama can't be your reason for leaving her off the team. It has to be based on merit, which I think they had standing if they would have just said that. So I think that's where they got themselves in trouble.
Yeah,
to me,
that's fair.
You know, the former Notre Dame star Arike Ngumbu, I always mess up her name, Agunbowale. She's the second leading scorer in the league. And she's not on the team.
Right.
She's the second lead. She's averaging like 26, 27 points a game, and she's not on the team. So it's a really tough team to make. I think they're missing the point is this could have been a big deal to have her on the team and the eyeballs and the attention. I think that would have been good for women's basketball at large. But I understand leaving her off. I just don't think that you can use the reason that they used.
Derek, when I was a kid, which was a long time ago.
It was.
In 1984, Bob Knight coached the Olympic basketball team, the men's Olympic basketball team. And that team, you had the players trying out in Bloomington. All of Indiana was paying attention to it. Not only because it was Bob Knight, but because the Olympic basketball team tryout process was taking place in Bloomington, Indiana. So you had all these players converging on and coming into Bloomington. And big-time stars, Wayman Tisdale, Chris Mullin, Patrick Ewing, Michael Jordan. I mean, the biggest of the big, right? Sam Perkins. And Steve Alford makes the team, a freshman, right? Leon Wood, Alvin Robertson, Jeff Turner of Vanderbilt, whose coach C.M. Newton was part of the process. And in 49 other states, it was an outrage that Charles Barkley didn't make it. Mm-hmm. And that Karl Malone, the guy from Louisiana Tech, averaging 28 a game, didn't make it. And John Stockton, this little guard from Gonzaga that was just a distributing machine, didn't make it. Chuck Person didn't make it. He was an alternate. It was an outrage everywhere else. But in Indiana fans said, you know what? We understand basketball here, and we know that Bob Knight's job is not to put together the best collection of talent, but rather to build the best team. And he took Steve Alford because he knows in the Olympics that you need an outside shooter. And they have Chris Mullin, but they need one more. And he took Jeff Turner because they need a screener. And he took Joe Klein because they need a hard-bodied rebounder. And we in Indiana understand basketball, and we understand that sometimes the sum is better than the individual parts. And that's what makes us special because we get that and we understand it. And that's why Bob Knight's our guy, and we're all in. And this is the greatest amateur team ever assembled. And they went out and they won the gold medal because they took the best team as opposed to the best talent. Now, flash forward 40 years later, Caitlin Clark gets left off the Olympic team, and people in Indiana go, this is an outrage. She's one of the 12 best players, and we need to have the 12. Why are we not taking the 12 best players to make an Olympic team? Because we're reverting back to what makes the best team. And maybe Caitlin Clark right now in her playing career isn't the style of play that the rest of those players need because she's still young enough that she would have to mold to them. Whereas once she is the established WNBA star, they would mold to her.
Yeah. And people have brought up the men's dream team, and they're right. As much as we lionize the dream team in 92, that wasn't the 12 best players. Larry Bird wasn't one of the 12 best. Larry Bird was broken.
Can you say his name as
Larry
the
Bird,
late, great Bill Walton?
Larry Bird was broken. Christian Laettner was on their dream team, right? That wasn't the 12 best players. Isaiah Thomas wasn't on the dream. Isaiah Thomas absolutely was one of the 12 best players in the NBA at that point in his career. He was at basically he was either at his apex or coming off his apex. Right. Bad Boy Pistons had won in 90 and 91. So I think the whole thing about Diana Taurasi has been the main target, and she's been in 5 other Olympics, and people are like, God, does she really need to be in a 6? But think of the leadership that she provides, and think of her she's been the face of women's basketball for a long time now. I really have a problem getting worked up about Diana Taurasi. Is it a legacy? Of course it's a legacy pick. We do legacy picks in sports all the time. I mean, I remember Cal Ripken Jr., sorry, Jordan, if you're listening, I remember Cal Ripken Jr. making a Major League All-Star game when he was batting like $170 at the All-Star break. Was he a legacy? Of course he was a legacy pick. It's Cal Ripken freaking Jr.
Didn't they move A-Rod to a different position in the All-Star game to get Cal Ripken in?
Yeah, I think they did. There have been other examples that I'm probably missing when it comes to that. I mean, Jeff Saturday, remember his last year with the Packers? And he wasn't a good player. He was a Pro Bowl player. I remember, and maybe that's a worse example, I think, than Cal Ripken Jr., but legacy picks happen in sports all the time. So, you know, do I think there's a missed opportunity by not including? Yeah, of course I do. Of course it would be better for Team USA and for women's basketball to have Caitlin Clark be an Olympian. But I just don't think that it's this sham Trav sham mockery, right? Travesty, right. Sham, mockery. Combine those words together that some people are making it out to be. But I think it's great. Again, I know people are probably sick of us leading Caitlin Clark on the show and all this Caitlin Clark talk. This is great. This is great for women's basketball to be in this conversation. They've never been like this. Never.
It is interesting to me how polarizing she has become.
Well, you have bad actors.
And she says and does the right things.
You have bad actors flying in and making this. You know, once you can kind of capitalize on the grift, right? Then the grifters come in and, okay, well, she's white and she's straight, so let's do this, let's do that. And those people always kind of fly in.
Do you know where grifters came from?
I actually don't know.
It's a fictional book, right?
You're asking me. I have no idea.
I believe Ragstar will probably know here. I believe The Grifters was a book that was written about a family that like mooches off people.
Oh, their last name was Grifter?
I believe that's correct.
Huh.
Let me look that up.
Greg doesn't even know.
I think that's right. Let me look that up.
Usually are. We usually lean on him academically.
Let me ask you something.
As the scholar of the show.
Will you actually, if this is correct, will you give me props?
Yeah, for sure. I've never heard that in my life.
I
have no idea the origin of the word grifter.
No, hold on. Grifter's origin of the word.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I could be wrong. What is the origin of the word grifter? No, hold on.
Yeah. And now that they do the AI thing, now you get a bunch of like weird. You notice that? You get weird answers now for stuff.
Somebody sent me an article yesterday and said, "Whoa, can you believe this? Like, what do you think about this?" And it was some article about how like Roger Penske was being forced out of the Indianapolis 500. And I'm like, he owns the Indianapolis 500. And then at the bottom of it was like, this article was generated by artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it's
The Grifters, by the way, is a movie.
Okay.
From 1990. But maybe.
Yeah, but that could just be.
They might have been already using
the word has been around since then, I would think.
Yeah.
Grifter word origin. You're so bad at searching stuff. Perhaps 1895. Perhaps from the British slang graft, which is one's occupation. Graft means corruption.
Okay.
So they think that it generated from that, but they don't know.
Okay, so maybe it became popularized by the term of the movie.
Yeah,
maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Other words to explore. Swindler. Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, wait, hold on. First appeared in a book in 1915. Okay. So you were technically right. It came from a book. Good work.
Was the book about a family of scammers?
Fever now 3-10.
Did I make that up?
They have a 3-game home swing here. Atlanta, Chicago. That'll be a fun one, huh?
Yeah.
Have them back. Washington, and then they go on a 4-game road trip.
This is kind of the fun thing about the WNBA is if rivalries do start to percolate a little bit, they play each other every 3 games.
Yeah,
right?
and there's just no rest for even the bad teams can beat you. It's just that's how the league is built.
A grifter is a criminal who uses his wits, not brute force. So does that make me a grifter? I'm not a criminal, but I use my wits over brute force. Like you and I've never actually fought, but I've run circles around you mentally.
Yeah, I mean, if we had to choose sides, I mean, I'm pretty witty and muscular. Brute force, I mean, no question, I would win. Wits would be a little bit more of an even Steven thing.
No.
Yeah. No. Buddy, you just got your college degree like 2 weeks ago.
I don't think Derek. Yeah. I don't. That has massive relevance to the equation. I think if we did a poll on which of the two of us is considered to be more witty and have a quicker brain.
Okay, fine. I'll lean that way.
It would be ugly.
Yeah, there's no leaning when it comes to this way, though.
Your lip, you look ridiculous.
No,
when you do that.
I'm not doing anything.
Your whole body trembles.
I'm not doing anything.
As a matter of fact, Brooke from the American Dairy Association sent me a text that said, can you make sure that when Derek's talking about the power of milk and how it does a body good, that he not look constipated?
There are other females that have sent me, I don't even know how they got my number, that have sent me text messages that say very different from that. I'm happily married and all of that, but, public figure. There comes attention with that. So, time for our Hoagie and Hero of the Week. It's brought to you by our friends at Hoagies and Hops. I was just in there on Sunday. I took the family. We're doing like this.
Whoa.
What? Oh, wait. Is that the mustard mayo one? Here. This one's yours. Sorry. I got the wrong one. Sorry. I put everything that Christina on the menu puts on her sando, I eat on my sando. I want an authentic Hoagies and Hops experience every time I eat a Hoagies and Hops sando. Now, Jake has the palate of an 8-year-old, so he can't have mayo and he can't have onion.
No.
And
I can have it.
No, he doesn't want it on there. This is the Zerns.
Derek, I consider her sandwiches with her meat and the bread in particular so fantastic that I don't think it needs accentuation.
Well, you're still
like,
a baby about like mayo and
Raquel
like
Welch didn't need makeup, right?
Who? Is that a singer? The Zerns. Really good.
Shawshank Redemption?
This is sliced ring
What
bologna.
say you, Fuzzy Britches? Feel like talking?
Sliced ring bologna. Really good. House red beet pickled egg. Special Dutch country level stuff from PA. Munster, mayo, little whole grain beer mustard, and L.
Excellent.
Really good. Really unique. Really good sandwich. So on Sunday nights,
Let me show you something.
my family, we've been walking down there. So James, Ashley, and I all go down there. Grab some chips, grab a couple sandos, talk to the crew, hang with Maddie. They have a new guy, or newish guy, bartending, named Max. Really nice dude. And Jake, we still have to go down there and have a beer.
Let me show you something,
You
Derek.
still owe me a beer. That chili water. Oh, sorry.
That doesn't need makeup, right?
Okay.
Shannon's
very beautiful.
Doesn't need makeup,
dude,
right there.
You're like a 16-year-old. The way that you show off your girlfriend.
What's wrong with that?
No, it's great. It's great to love your girlfriend, but like to be like, dude, how hot is she? She's up.
Yeah.
I think, first off, Shannon is obviously physically attractive.
Right.
She's an amazing person, though. She has a great personality.
Of course.
She's like
of course.
the kindest, sweetest person that you would ever meet.
Right.
And you're all, dude, she's hot, right? I mean, she's pretty hot. Yeah, but there are all these other things that you should list off about Shannon.
You don't think that I... You don't think I should?
I mean,
you know the wonderful virtues of her because I share them with you.
You guys are common law married, right? So we say girlfriend, but like really it's you've been together for like 25 years or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Shannon, the joke we always make, and I've even made this on the show, is that Ashley and I invited Shannon to our wedding, and you were her +1, and that's why you were at our wedding.
Did you invite her to your 40th birthday?
That was Ashley. That's not me. So if you have a bone to pick with somebody, it's my wife.
How did you not say, this is unusual that Query's not at my birthday party?
I had no idea that anything was happening.
Should I be offended that she
I thought we were having dinner with two of our friends, and that was it. I thought we were having a really low-key, and then I opened the door, and there were a bunch of people.
Technically, it's not common law. You know that, right?
It's after a certain amount of time, isn't it? Am I wrong?
I think you have to have the same residential address.
Oh, but you live at her house. The only person that lives in the 2-bedroom apartment where Jake lives alone is...
Come on. Come on.
You're 54 years old. It's just so weird. Dude, is she hot? Is she hot?
Actually, Nick Yeoman's like, dude, you need to quit looking for reassurance for the fact she's good looking. I'm like, no,
You're the type of person, though, you need reassurance on everything.
How
do I look? How do these glasses look? Does this shirt make me look fat? Am I tan enough?
I know.
You
Derek,
require reassurance on everything.
I know. You know what? You're right. You're right. Derek is correct. And therefore, I'd like to let everybody know right here in June of 2024 that things are different now. Things are different for these reassurances. My name is Jake Query. I am incredibly articulate, talented, sexy, tan, in good shape, and I look damn good. I don't need you to tell me that anymore.
Yes,
I'm well aware of all of it. I just said it all. I'm aware of it. I don't need.
You need other people to back
might I
that
add, in my long list of greatness, and in the long list of things that make me great, the top of the list that stands out the most amongst my greatness is my humility.
No.
There you go.
90% of the time when you call me, it's you need assurance on something. Or reassurance on something.
Why else would I call
Dude,
you?
Like, you give me a scenario that you just went through and how you acted, and then I need to back you up on how you acted.
Why else would I
That's
call
why
you?
you're calling me. Like 90% of the time.
I've got
The other 10% is just to shoot the breeze because we're best buds.
No, that
Other
never
10%.
happens.
Chili Water Brew of the Week. I don't want to forget about this. The One Hop Wonder. This is one of their core beers.
To Derek's point earlier, Caitlin Clark, not a one-hop wonder, right?
No, not a One Hop Wonder. India Pale Ale. I am not usually an IPA guy. I'm not usually a super hoppy guy. And look, this is loaded up, right?
I've seen you play basketball. I'm aware.
This is loaded up hops as far as that's concerned. But this one is it's hard to explain. The One Hop Wonder is like cleaner. It's like almost crisper than what you get from a
No, that's fantastic.
IPA, right?
Fantastic.
Just a really good summer beer.
It doesn't have a lot of times an IPA with a lot of the hops feels like a winter beer.
Yeah.
Like an inside the cabin beer. This is not.
It
Smoother
feels
and
almost
far more crisp.
Those beers feel almost heavy, where this one
Correct.
doesn't. Where
Correct.
if it's July, you can have this out on the patio. I gave it
You
a
know what?
here-
This right here, the Chili Water One Hop Wonder, a lot like me.
Okay.
Sleek, smooth, crisp, sexy. That's what it is.
Will you stop saying sexy?
Oh, it's undoubted. Do you know how many people tell me I'm sexy? All the time. Everywhere I go. Little 5 o'clock shadow, glasses, little sophisticated look. I need no reassurance on this, Derek. I now know it to be true. Thank you for bringing this epiphany to me, that I don't need reassurance to just be able to tell myself that, yes, in fact, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, I'm good looking enough, and gosh darn it, people like me.
I find you repulsive sometimes, to be totally honest. Certainly not as repulsive as that photo. Hell yeah, brother. Now that, if you want to throw around the term sexy, that right there, hold on. That is some sexiness. Whole package. Look at that. My pecs look a lot better.
Derek,
I've been doing
You want to talk about me
More pecs.
needing reassurance? You wedge in ways to show this picture of you walking around wearing an LL Bean sweater and a towel
I don't
around your
control the
waist.
board. Clearly, Vince is a big fan of the picture, but I don't control the board.
Yeah, Vince and I
in
need
there.
to have a meeting.
I picked Will Power for Hero of the Week. I didn't think there was like an obvious one. He wins the race, plus his wife's backstory, Flavor Flav, his new best friend, chiming in on that.
Yeah, so Will Power.
I like Will Power.
I like Will Power a lot. Will Power, who, look, this guy's now got, 42 wins. He ties Michael Andretti on the all-time wins list in IndyCar. And at Road America, he was – and the thing I like about Will Power is in the maturation of Will Power, I think that he has learned that if you don't have a winning car, you don't necessarily always have to go for the win, and that allows you to get the points necessary to stay towards the top. Scott Dixon has shown that better than anybody. And Will Power has been really good at that, but at the same time, he is a master, just like Dixon is, at figuring out late in races when it's go time and when it's not. And that's what happened in Road America. He pitted at the right time and got the lead and then just built it from there. His teammate Joseph Newgarden couldn't catch up to him. But it was afterwards, and I think a lot of us, and within the paddock, I hate to use that term, but in the racing snow globe, have been aware of the health challenges that Liz Power has had. It was documented in 100 Days to Indy last year, but I don't know that people realize just how tough it was. She had a sepsis of some sort, an infection. I don't know the specifics, but the bottom line is that for Will Power's wife, it has not been an easy go for the last few years. And considering that they are parents of a young son, that means it hasn't been an easy go for Will Power, and yet he has powered through it, pardon the pun, not only on the racetrack but also in the incredible devoted loyalty towards his wife. And it's a very cool thing. She's wonderful, and he's a good dude. But, in all aspects, him getting that first win since June of 2022, 2 years and 5 days from his last win, which was in Belle Isle when he was in a championship season. But staying the course and getting that win was good for him. So he is the hero of the week.
Yeah, one of the greats, really, of modern open wheel racing, right? You might not want to stack him up there with some of the guys from the old days, but if we're just talking 21st century IndyCar racers,
great driver.
He's an incredible driver for sure. And I've always liked him. I know sometimes kind of the dry personality rubs some people the wrong way. I think it comes off to some people that don't know him as arrogance, and I don't think it's that.
Or
I think
aloof.
it's just I don't think it's either of those things.
Isn't this a great picture of Shannon, by the way?
Yeah. Great. Okay. This is what you need.
She just went to Denver, and they gave her a hat for her high school. It's
10:38 p.m. Jake Query is calling you. Hey.
Isn't that a great picture?
Man, you think my girlfriend's hot? Why are you calling me? I'm trying to go to bed. What are you doing?
You called me over the weekend.
I did call you over
and
the
I
weekend.
didn't answer.
Just best friends shooting the breeze. Dan Hurley stays at UConn. We'll talk about that and some NBA Finals when we return. It's Query and Schultz here on the ISC
Finals
Sports
are
Network.
over, aren't they?
Pretty much.
Tonight.
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood presents Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network, alongside Jake Query. I'm Derek Schultz. Hi, how you doing? Thanks to our great friends at Bailey, also Hoagies and Hops and Chili Water Brewing, but Bailey & Wood Financial Group, 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com.
They got their golf outing coming up?
August, so, God, August is 2 months away.
I know.
That's weird. That's weird to think.
I might be able
it's
to
weird to think that we're like deep into summer now.
Who would win if the two of us golfed?
You.
You think so?
You. I haven't played.
I've played one time in my life.
I haven't played golf in 10 years.
Okay.
Fall of 14 was the last time that almost 10 years. Fall of 14 was the last time I played. TJ's bachelor party was the last time I played golf.
How'd you do?
Pretty horribly. We played Brickyard Crossing.
Oh.
Yeah, and it
know what that
was
cost
rough. How much?
How much was it then?
I don't remember. It was a bachelor party, so it was paid for.
I think it's like Greg might be able to help me out. $225 now.
Oh wow, really? Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful course.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they're trying to get like PGA level. Obviously, the LPGA.
I mean, it's a great course, but it was, at least for me. I mean, maybe if you're a golf pro, you don't think it's difficult. Any course for me is difficult. Even a dirt course, public course is difficult. But that was a tough day. It was like early October, and generally speaking, early October in Indiana, it's still like 70s and 80s. It was like 39 degrees and sleeting. It was horrible. So it was a little bit of a rough bachelor party, but we got to drive our cars on the road course a little bit, and we knew a guy who I can say no longer works at the Speedway that kind of had the golden key, and we kind of went around and made it our
on your little cart,
our plaything. No. He could get us into like the Pagoda and all these other places, and so we made.
Is that why he got fired?
No, he didn't get fired. He left on his own.
Okay.
But I think I can mention this because it's been 10 years, and I don't think we were supposed to do some of the stuff that we did. But we did. We didn't like desecrate the place or anything like that. But we had some fun out there. 19 Indiana branch or 18 Indiana branch locations. I'm going to get the exact number at some point. They have a lot of Indiana branch locations at Bailey & Wood Financial Group and 5-star customer service.
Which is great, by the way.
BAWFG.com, 855-350-HOME. I'm not surprised. Dan Hurley to the Lakers always felt like an odd fit to me. His whole vibe doesn't scream LA. It doesn't scream NBA, to be totally honest with you. He would be in the Tom Thibodeau level of coaches, right? Like really grind guys.
opposite end, though, because he's an offensive guru.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yes.
But like that attitude, like we're going to work and grind, like
right.
Generally speaking in today's NBA, that attitude doesn't really happen. What I'm surprised by, Jake, and this is going to drive people nuts because people look at money like you and I would look at money. Like $70 million is an incredible – I'll never see that in my lifetime. Neither will you. I don't know. Maybe with the IndyCar stuff you will. If the Lakers really wanted him, 6 years, $70 million is not enough.
Yeah, I mean,
6 years, $70 million, not enough. If you want to go get him, give him $15 a year. That's what you need to do.
Well, he was offered $11 million in Kentucky, turned it down,
Yeah.
and so the Lakers said, we'll do 11.6.
And $11 million in Lexington, Kentucky goes a lot longer of a way than 11.6 in L.A.
Derek, I think Dan Hurley is a guy, and this is true for people at the top of virtually any profession, but you get to that level by having just an incredible, like, creating your own challenge. And what fuels you is different than what fuels a lot of people. Money's great, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, at this point, I don't know what Connecticut's paying him.
6 years, 50, it sounds like.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
4.6.
so, he's getting, 6 years, $50 million? That's 8 something.
Or, yeah, no, sorry. The difference is, I think, between the Lakers offer
$3.5 million a year.
Yeah, it's not that much.
So I think when you get to the highest level, at least for now, your drive becomes to try to do things that are historic. And they've won 2 in a row. Does he want to try to win 3? I mean, I realize the record is far beyond that, but in the modern era, that's unique. In addition to that, in the NIL era, people talk about how the Big East is at a disadvantage because they don't have football money. That's an additional challenge, right? So there are things there to challenge him still within the college game. Additionally, the NBA game is always going to be there if that's what he so desires at some point. And number 3, the Lakers' job may not be the job that people think it is because, yes, it's the Lakers and it's L.A. and it's, lifestyle and all that. But your best player is 40. You don't even know if he's going to be retained. If he is, there appear to be caveats that have to come with it. And I love LeBron James.
Yeah.
I love his talent level. Their best player is probably Anthony Davis, but their biggest star is LeBron James. And if you are having to come into that job by catering to what LeBron James wants, and that's a franchise priority, and then in addition to that, you got a general manager that kind of seems at times like a clown show.
You got to draft this kid.
You got to draft this kid.
Maybe.
I mean, there's a lot that goes into that where it's like, and now I do believe this. Having said all that about challenges and Connecticut and everything else, if this was the opportunity to coach the New York Knicks, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Brooklyn Nets, I think he's more tempted.
Yeah,
he is an East Coast guy through and through. He's never lived west of New Jersey, right?
No, he's a Jersey. He's a tri-state guy. Yeah, pretty much.
No, because he's not been to Cincinnati.
What would the tri-state even be for Cincinnati? Kentucky, West Virginia, is Indiana in a tri-state? Yeah, no one. Yeah.
Have you never been to Cincinnati?
I have been to Cincinnati.
Okay. You cross over. You see the big arch that says Ohio. Welcome to Ohio, and then there's a little tiny little sign, postage stamp the other way that says something about Indiana, and it's embarrassing because how small it is now.
Yeah.
But
the Indiana side is small.
You cross from from Indiana into Ohio, and you're right there immediately in Cincinnati, basically. And then you go across the river and you're Kentucky. And then when you go to a Reds game, it's like brought to you by Tri-State Chevrolet. It's the Tri-State.
No one says that.
Greg Rakestrow's got my back. Greg's from Southern
I'm sure.
Indiana,
I'm sure. Like Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas has a tri-state where they all meet or something. Like that's not relevant.
No, Derek. There's 4 states that border each other. Do you know the 4 states that border each other?
No, because I don't care.
No, it's Arizona.
Okay.
It's New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. You can stand and jump from one state to the next.
Notorious B.I.G. has a song going back to Cali. I'm going back to Cali. And there's a lyric in there, what's your goal? Is it to rock the tri-state? And I can assure you that he's not talking about, is it to rock Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio?
He might be talking about rocking.
Is it to rock the tri-state? It's Connecticut, Jersey, New York. Okay. That's the tri-state area. Everyone knows that that's the tri-state area.
You guys just had the GoFundMe eyes together, right? That's how you.
It's kind of like how we call everything the catch, and the catch is really Dwight Clark NFC Championship game, right, against the Cowboys. That's the catch.
Right.
It's not David Tyree. It's not Santonio Holmes in the Super Bowl.
Willie Mays.
No, the catch is Dwight Clark.
You want to know unpopular opinion?
I think the shot is Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner is the shot against Kentucky.
He's smart.
Anyone a 30-minute radius outside of Marion County wouldn't say he's smart.
Jordan?
Well, which one?
Carolina.
Is it Byron Russell?
Carolina.
Oh, really? See, I think Jordan's Carolina shot is his third most famous shot. Craig Elo's number one because of the reaction against the Cavs in 89.
And that was their breakthrough moment.
And Byron Russell push off against the Jazz in the finals. And then I would say the game-winning shot to beat Georgetown.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy that you would have three? I mean, what about him switching hands against the Lakers? I mean, that's another kind of – it's not a shot.
This?
Yeah, the shrug. And the funny thing is that you remember the opponent and you remember the year. I mean, there's so many of those iconic moments. What were we talking about? We were talking about Dan Hurley, right? Okay, yeah. Dan Hurley might want to just stay in the tri-state, which makes sense. I just think it's a tough look for the Lakers because now they have to maybe crawl back to J.J. Redick.
I don't think anybody says tri-state.
I think you have to overpay to get him, and they weren't willing to do that.
If you're J.J. Redick, by the way, are you like, that's cool?
Yeah, I don't think he cares.
It's a great, isn't that a great photo?
Yeah, I know. Shannon looks great.
That's a great photo right there. That's in at the Heineken.
The funniest thing to me, and as much as I hate,
should I use that as my screensaver?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
As much as I hate all my mouthy UConn fan friends, it's hilarious to me that people were legitimately freaking out. This is terrible for college sports. This just shows that college sports doesn't matter and NIL and all of that. And for Hurley to go back to UConn, I was soaking it up, seeing the reactions. Because you saw it last week, right? It was all like college sports is on death's door. Of course it's not. Even if Dan Hurley had left,
Derek,
it wouldn't be on death's door.
How good is the recruiting class going to be now?
Yeah, I mean,
I came back to Connecticut because I wanted you to come play for me.
They get all those prep school kids that end up going to like Virginia, Maryland, New Hampshire, Vermont Academy. UConn has always hit those kids, and like the city kids, Jersey, New York, but they're becoming a national brand. The weirdest thing about UConn is that unlike Carolina or Duke or Kentucky or even Kansas, they really don't have a national brand.
I know.
They don't.
I've never seen I remember saying this to you, Derek, in March when they won the national championship, okay? I mean, I travel a lot. And when you're on airplanes or you're in airports, you're sitting there on the plane and you're waiting to see who's going to sit down next to you, and a guy walks past, he's got on a Michigan State hat. He's got on an Alabama sweatshirt. He's got on a North Carolina T-shirt. I don't think I've ever seen anybody wearing anything with UConn. You never see random people in Las Vegas walking around wearing a UConn hat.
Yeah,
You never see people wearing UConn shorts.
I was trying to think of like what their football comp would be, and I was struggling to come up with it. It's almost like, I wouldn't even say I'll see Colorado stuff in other, and Colorado only won one title, right? They didn't win 6 of them. But I was trying to think of like another team.
Oh, you're saying the football.
Yeah, like when you think of football brands, you think of like Michigan and Notre Dame and Ohio State and Alabama. And I was trying to think of what would UConn be if those schools would be like Kentucky and Kansas and all of that. What would UConn's brand be?
Utah?
See, I think that's a little too harsh. Whereas I think Clemson has a bigger brand than UConn does. Like Clemson was one that I thought of because they won multiple titles and they dominated the sport.
Auburn?
Maybe.
You ever see people wearing Auburn stuff? You ever meet people like, I'm a diehard Auburn fan? I mean, people that went to Auburn.
Yeah.
But you don't see people just wearing random Auburn stuff all over the place.
That's kind of true. I don't hate that one. I still don't think that that's quite apples to apples.
Nebraska?
No, because Nebraska, I think, has a bigger brand. I think Nebraska football, I think, has a bigger brand than UConn basketball.
Washington.
Oh, fine. That's fine. Because they're kind of
correct. And they're really good.
Stuck in that area.
They're really good, and people in the region like it, but, like, you don't see –
yeah.
Like, you don't have a random kid at a middle school in Fayetteville that's a Washington fan.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I mean. That's kind of what I mean.
Yeah, but, everybody had that kid in school that was like a diehard Carolina fan or, Nebraska fan.
That's just kind of what I mean. And it'll take more. I mean, UConn's really only been relevant for 30 years, whereas Kansas and Carolina and Kentucky have been
Brooke
for
from the Dairy
generations.
Association, diehard Nebraska fan.
Yeah.
And I said, can you explain to me how much you like Nebraska? And she said, I like Nebraska as much as I hate Derek biting his lip when he flexes.
No, that's not, yeah.
That's exactly what she said. I said, okay.
That's not what she said.
I'm just telling you.
There are plenty of other good-looking people that have texted me things about you. He's getting a little old. Does he know that he's old? He doesn't – seems like he's trying too hard, things like that, which I would never share with you. That were just like mean-spirited.
I don't need to know that anymore because I don't need reassurance because I know that I'm –
I mean, how many chins does this guy have now? Like, stuff like that. Like, I would never share this stuff with you, like mean stuff that people have said. So, even though I think you look thinner. I feel like you've lost weight. Have you?
Yes.
I know you track it you probably have a spreadsheet for your weight. That's
correct.
For your vanity. Love that play. Let's get to that from our friends at Love Heating and Cooling, 353-2141, love-hvac.com. Been in business since 1920, so obviously they're doing something right. They have serviced the unit in my house, my unit, and they've done it very well, and they can come and service it anytime. It very rarely has problems, but sometimes, it's getting a little bit older. Sometimes it needs to be taken care of, and that happens with the unit at my house. So they can do that at your house as well. 353-2141, love-hvac.com.
Why were you saying that with a smirk?
I wasn't smiling. I was just looking right at the camera and doing it professionally. It's a professional, mature show. Our buddy Darren Fletcher, if you're
the best,
if you're a deep cut listener to the show, like if you were on this show at its inception in 2011, that was the year, well, 2012 technically, but we were sick. Jake and I were 6 months in when the Super Bowl was here.
Was it really that early on?
That soon.
Okay.
So February of 2012, we're on Radio Row in the Super Bowl, and they have you stationed with people, and you're there all week next to these other stations, and we've got two Wolfie and Jack from Raleigh, North Carolina.
You remember those guys from Raleigh that had the chunky?
God. Charlotte. They were from Charlotte, yeah, and they had like designer jeans and like frosted tips, and I was like, ugh, like very sports radio guys. There was this guy that was all by himself, and looked like probably around your age, right?
Yeah.
And he was British, and we're like, oh, like, this is cute. There's a British guy here on Radio Row. Like, let's teach him about American football, and wow, welcome to America. And as we're thinking that, we're watching him throughout the week, and like
we kept bringing him on the show though. Remember, and he was great.
We were on the show. He's a really nice guy. But as we're looking over our shoulder, we're having like Justin Forsett on hawking something, and Antrell Hawkins,
Priest Holmes,
I think. And like the pretty good, like okay level NFL players. We're looking over at his table, and like Joe Montana did an hour with him. Jerry Rice was over there. Like they needed security to go over to Darren's table,
right?
And we realized that this guy's one of the biggest soccer broadcasters in the UK.
Presenters. He's a presenter.
Presenters is what they use for broadcaster, right? But whatever, we became friends, and we would you guys texted for a while.
He's great.
I don't know. Have you kept up that conversation?
No, we were trying to get him on the show, remember?
Yeah.
And we didn't have
I think you kind of lost touch with him over the years. But anyway, he called the Mets the Mets-Phillies game in London for, whatever, BBC or whatever it was on. I still think of London having like 3 channels, but I know that they probably have more than that. But this was an incredible play.
They run all Mr. Bean episodes.
That's right.
And then Downton Abbey or whatever, and then Darren. That's it.
That's it. And then what is it, Monty Python or whatever?
Yeah, that's right.
Which I watched that. My parents think it's hilarious, and I'm like, what is this? Why is this funny? I don't get it. After rallying to take the lead in the 9th, the Mets were playing the Phillies, right? A big rival. The Mets stink this year. Phillies were threatening to take it back, so they got it back to 1 run. And Luis Torrens turned Nick Castellanos' dribbler. He just hits a dribbler right in front of home plate, right? And the catcher scoops it up, steps on home.
I bet I can get the play here, Derek. Hang on.
And throws it and gets a double play. It was a much tougher play than what it looked. It was an incredible play. And the Mets held on to win the game 6-5, and Darren was on the call, and he did an awesome job on the call. Yeah, here it is.
Wants to take his time, and who can blame him in the circumstances? He must be feeling so much pressure out there.
I was hoping he would call like a doobie dozer or something instead of a double play.
But closer by committee, he's the man today with the pressure on his shoulders.
I like the accent, don't you?
Bat explodes, and they're going to get the runner at home. They're going to get the double play to win the game. What an end! The shattered bat, the runner out at home plate, and the ball fired into the glove. And the first baseman, Pete Alonso, and the New York Mets somehow withstand the Phillies rally, and they win game.
I mean, it's a great call, right, for somebody that's not used to calling baseball.
And just the exploded bat, explodes into the glove. The shattered bat.
Yeah,
the accent's awesome.
What's baseball doing over there? What's baseball doing in London?
They're growing the game, Derek.
Yeah. Okay. I think there are markets that you want to go to that kind of makes sense. Everybody's trying to get into London, right? So fine, whatever. Like I don't know, baseball. It's just a sport that gets in its own way all the time. I don't think they have any plans. They have an idiot for a commissioner.
Derek.
I tuned in and I was like, wait, they're playing in London? I didn't even know they were playing in London. It just didn't make any sense.
The U.S. just pulled, and this could have been a contender for Love That Play. How about the United States beating India in cricket?
Yeah, like 140 wickets to 100 and something and a half.
Growing the game.
Whatever, yeah.
It's the sport of the future, right? We were going to put a cricket field here in Indianapolis. Step ahead, the vision of the city ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, I think not everything is going to become a thing. Cricket is huge, though, with a gigantic portion of the world's population.
Correct.
Which will help. But you look at 40,000, they said 40,000 or whatever in the stands, and you look around the stands, and it's that same population that is already into cricket, I feel like.
How many people were at the Mets-Phillies game?
They sold it out. It didn't look like there was an empty seat.
I mean, do you think that was mostly Americans that were over there? Or?
I think there were some expats. There were some people that hold up signs like Brit Mets and things like that, so they have like fan groups probably. But a lot of people were just wearing whatever team they had. Like I saw a dude decked out in
like
Atlanta Braves gear.
Right.
Yeah, just whatever you have. Let's go see an American baseball game. 353-2140 on love-hvac.com. We come back, quick hits. We'll briefly talk NBA Finals. And get into Chateau Kitchen's Buy It or Bull Bleep as well. It's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
At Bailey and
Welcome back. It's Corey and Schultz, presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group, ISC Sports Network. NBA Finals is 0-2. Well, I guess depending on who you're rooting for, it's 2-0 if you're rooting for Boston. Game 3 is in Dallas, which technically takes place on Wednesday night, so a little bit more than just a day break. Kyrie Irving has really struggled. He's 0 of 8 from 3. He's averaging just 14 points per game through the first 2 games, 13 of 37 from the field. And I think it's played out how I expected, Jake. I just think Boston's just got too many guys.
Correct.
They're good. I mean, that's a really good team. I don't think that I'd be
Derek White and Porzingis have been huge for them.
Yeah, I don't think that this is going to turn into like some sort of like a prolonged run, and maybe they'll end up being a rather forgettable team, kind of like the 2019 Raptors or something like that. But this, in the moment, this is a really, really good team.
They're solid.
And I don't think I gave them enough credit because kind of going into the playoffs, I was like, I don't really think that there's a really great team. I think Boston's a great team.
They are. I mean,
which makes it more frustrating because I really thought the Pacers should have won at least one, if not 2 games in that series. And that would have looked a lot better had they ended up sweeping Dallas. I'd be really surprised if Dallas won 4 out of 5. And I think we leave the NBA Finals at that. I don't really have anything else to add. Quickly, some quick hits. Cannon Catchings moving on, the former prize Purdue recruit, will now take visits at BYU and Florida State, which are kind of like, okay. I know we're late in the process.
Indiana and Illinois in the running? They were before.
I didn't see
His mother
that.
played at Illinois.
The other one that I saw was Tennessee. I guess was the first wave was hot after him. He's dropped a little bit. He was originally a 5-star recruit. He's still a top 40 national recruit at 24/7 Sports, and he was a long-tenured commitment. I mean, he had committed to them fall of 22. But there were some whispers that maybe he wanted a guarantee of playing time, and if you want a guarantee of playing time, then Purdue's and Matt Painter are not the program for you.
You're right about that.
They're not going to give.
And I know that Purdue does NIL, don't get me wrong, but I think also it's like if that's your main focus, it's probably not the program for you either.
Yeah, I just think everybody's got their own culture and different fits, but if you're asking about guaranteed playing time, then you're not a fit there.
Right.
With how they do business. I wanted to mention this, the road to the LPGA, so the women's golf, coming to Indiana, it's the Epson's Tour, which is the players hoping to get their
Epson?
tour card punched. I think it's a company. Yeah. I should probably look that up.
Buddy Epson was he was the shooting oil guy.
Okay.
And ironically enough, Buddy Epson, who Beverly Hillbillies, he's out hunting for some food and he shoots oil, right? He was supposed to be the Tin Man, who needed oil in the Tin Man, but he was allergic to the makeup.
I thought Jed Clampett was the one that shot oil.
Yeah, that's correct. And he was portrayed by Buddy Epson.
Oh, he's an actor? How do you know all this? Is this common? Rake, do you know this? This is common. Vince, do you have any idea who that? Yeah, see? Okay. I'm trying to give this tournament, I want to talk about this tournament too, not about Buddy Epson, but the Epson Tours 2024 Otter Creek Championship taking place this week. First round competition begins on Thursday.
Epsom or Ebson? It's
down in beautiful Columbus, Indiana. General admission is free, so you can actually just show up, connect with some of the best young female golfers in the world, including local talents like Annabelle Pancake, who not only is a Zionsville grad, but a Clemson grad. Didn't we have her on the show one time, the radio show?
Did we?
I felt like when she was at Clemson, we did for some reason. Now I'm trying to remember.
Probably because it was at Clemson?
Yeah, what the context was around there. And then Kaylin Henderson, who's got a huge social media following, is from Westfield. More details at ottercreekgolf.com. And wanted to shout out our friends over at Ditto PR. Do you remember Megan Custudio and Lauren and everyone that was over there? They did the BMW Championship.
Correct.
And they were awesome to work with. Chris is a great guy, former IU quarterback, who he and his wife are the head honcho of the whole thing.
Frankfurt Galaxy quarterback.
Yeah, and Chris helped me out post-COVID. I was kind of trying to figure out what to do with my life, and I was like, I think I want to get into like PR and comms, and Chris was nice enough to meet with me when he didn't have to. Great guy, and I enjoy the whole crew over there, Matt and the rest of their group. I mean, they're just a top-notch operation. So I wanted to give them some love because we worked with them back in the old radio days, and now a little bit here in the TV days, I guess, here on the program. So
do you think they're excited also about the Buddy Epson part?
Probably not. I'm going to send them this clip, and I'll probably just edit that out.
Well, it's Epsom, not Ebson, but you said it wrong.
Okay. Like I said, this is all getting edited, so I probably won't send him. Vince, we'll grab that in post. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Sure.
And we're back. Chateau Kitchen's Biter Bull Bleep. We'll come back with that when we return on the show, and we will tie a bow on episode. Do you know what episode this is?
190.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? You know what 1 plus 90 is?
No.
91.
Which is the rating on a 92 scale that I would give Shannon Walsh.
Oh, no, she gets 100. But I graduated in 91.
Okay. God, that was a long time ago.
It was.
Yeah, it's sad.
It was.
Back to relive those days when we return.
That's right.
Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Ice, ice, baby.
Hey, AC, which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back, final time. Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Thanks to our friends at Chateau Kitchens. ChateauKitchens.com, at Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook for before and after pictures to see their beautiful home transformations. Whether you're looking to remodel your kitchen, your basement, your bathroom, whatever is on the interior of your home, give our friends at Chateau Kitchens a shout. And Stephen Moore and his tremendous team will help you just like they've done our guest bathroom, our kitchen, and our basement. And I have basement pictures. I'm thinking next week. Basement pics.
You're not in them, right?
No, it'll just be – what I like to do is provide an experience of seeing how lived in the space is. So I can't guarantee whether or not I will be in the pictures, but they will look lived in.
Okay.
They will look lived in.
You'll be clothed.
I'll just leave it. The spaces will look lived in. They will look as I experience them on a daily basis. That's how it will be. Okay. Statement 1. Christy Sides will not last the season with the Indiana Fever. Bite or bull bleep?
I'll say Bull Schultz. I think end of the year.
Yeah. Rake made a good point. Rake makes a lot of good points.
Flattering photo.
We were talking about this leading up into the show this morning, and Rake said, they've got that Olympic break kind of in the middle of the season. It feels like sort of a natural hit the pause button and maybe recalibrate. So that would make some sense. I don't know enough about the WNBA to know when, sometimes in the NFL you see it happen like before a bye week or in season where they'll make a change. Didn't the Colts do that with Reich? Didn't they have a bye and then Saturday? Maybe not. Maybe the Raiders game was right after the Patriots game. I just remember
being on the air and you saying the Colts just made a new hire.
Yeah, we were taping.
And you said it's a former player, and it was like my sixth guess.
Yeah. We were taping. That was really shocking. And, of course, it aged as poorly as we thought. Live time. No offense to Jeff Saturday. He's a great guy who I really like personally. But, yeah, that was always that was not going to be set up for success at all. I'm going to buy it that she won't last the season. I think she's gone at that point somewhere. Dan Hurley will someday be an NBA coach. Bite or bull bleep?
I buy that.
Not everybody leaves. Right?
Listen,
not everybody.
You're right, but yes, I buy it.
I think it would have to be one of those jobs like you said.
Philly.
I think it would have to be somewhere. Wouldn't it be hilarious if you followed Thibodeau, just because those are two guys that just kind of are exhausting and they kind of grind you into the ground? I remember Coach K being talked about for the Lakers job. Didn't Izzo take the Cavs job and then say no? Or he was
that sounds right.
Close to taking the Cavs job? And then Beeline ended up taking it, right? And then it was a complete
Beelined out of there.
Horror show, yeah. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to say bull bleep. I'm going to say that he just builds a dynasty at UConn and stays. He just seems like such the perfect fit for UConn. And they can just churn out wins, and he can make enough money. Storrs sucks. But the school itself is a great school, and it's a great program. And he's really people don't know. UConn's athletic program was hemorrhaging money. Like, they were dying. They were left out of that conference expansion, and the AAC, they were losing tens of millions of dollars every year. Their football program's a disaster. He really saved things over there for the entire university. Final statement, the College World Series, men's and women's, one of the coolest events on the calendar.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're giving it attention.
Listen, I think the College Softball World Series is fabulous.
I never felt like until about 4 or 5 years ago that anybody paid attention to either of them outside of like a very niche audience.
Right.
And now I feel like it's leading SportsCenter sometimes. People are tweeting about it.
Who are you pulling for?
It helps that Indiana IU has become a really good baseball program.
How about Evansville defeating Tennessee?
Evansville.
Which was Evansville could have been up there for our love that play.
For sure.
They were last
I know
week. That they got beat, but beating
week.
Tennessee was awesome. For that win. Indiana State had a good year.
Yeah, Indiana State had a great year. IU ended up making it. Oh, we got to wrap. Thanks to our great sponsors. Chateau Kitchens, Bailey & Wood Financial Group, Chili Water Brewing and Tap Room, Hoagies and Hops, Love Heating and Cooling. For Jake, I'm Derek. We'll see you next time. Episode 191, Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride